Another area that's important for coaches to manage in the coaching conversation is about what I call nail down. We may have really rich, interesting conversations with our clients. We may explore all sorts of areas, and we may know that there are all sorts of insights developing during the conversation. But we have a responsibility to make sure that our clients walk away from that conversation with an outcome of some kind. Otherwise, my experience is that 24 hours, 48 hours a week later, those insights will have evaporated. They were crystal clear at the time, but they will disappear and nothing will actually change. So coaches, we have a responsibility at the right point in the conversation to start asking some closed questions, some closing questions. Okay, we've been asking open questions to open up new areas of discussion, get people exploring, thinking about in new ways about new things. But here we need to start asking closed questions. So, what are your intentions? What are you actually going to do as a result of what we've talked about? When are you going to do this? Who with? What resources are you going to access? How are you going to make it happen? What's going to stop you and how are you going to deal with that? We might also ask some testing questions. Okay, being truthful here, we've talked about this strategy. How committed are you really to putting it into action on a scale of 1 to 10? They might say 8 or 9. If they say 10, well, you know, you can make your own judgment about whether they're that excited. But generally speaking, people would be, pretty committed. If it's below an 8, say they say 7 or 6 or 5 out of 10, nothing will happen. So you need to then have another conversation about, this doesn't seem like the right strategy. What can we do to raise your commitment to the strategy to maybe an 8 or a 9? And if we can't, let's find a better strategy. Let's even just decide that today we haven't found a strategy, and our intention is we will come back, and if it hasn't solved itself, we'll talk about this again. We need to do some more work to find a better solution. 7, 6 out of 10. The reality is people are going to be too busy. When they go back to work, to their lives, it's just not going to happen. So coaches, we've got a responsibility to be looking for this kind of outcome towards the end. Now, like me, you've probably been to really motivational training days, conferences. I've been to Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within. There are all sorts of things that you walk away feeling really, you're buzzing with all of the ideas and all of the great intentions that you have to put into action. But for most people, they go back to work and nobody there is interested. Nobody follows up and says, so what did you learn? What are you going to change as a result? What can we learn from what you've learned? What do we need to change to help you to make that happen? And following through, maybe a month later to say, did it make a difference? Are you still doing it? Are we still doing what we needed to do to make the changes that are required? How often does this happen? Maybe one time out of 100 in different organizations? The reality is that without the nail down and the follow through, there is no return on the investment of time, energy and resources that's been put into the conversation. We have a responsibility to make sure that people get outcomes that make a difference and make a sustainable difference going forward. If we don't close our conversations with, what are you going to do? How are you going to make this happen? How committed are you? Then it's just been a vague, pleasant conversation that's going to change nothing. So the skill here is to think about closing questions. What are the things that you need to ask the person you're working with that will make sense to them so that they can express, they put into words what they're going to do and how they're going to make things happen. And my suggestion is next time you meet, follow up and say, okay, last time you went away, you said you were going to do this, this and this. How did that go? And if it didn't go perfectly, which is often the case, Is that important? Should we talk about it again? Do we need to find some new strategies, some new ways forward? Coaches, this is your responsibility because clients will very often miss this point. Nail down. Make it happen. Over to you.